stage of the digital media classroom here at Wellington High School. Welcome to another episode of Dialogue with the Dukes. I'm your host. The show is being brought to you this morning by the Patricia Lindley Center for the Performing Arts, located adjacent to the high school and the McCormick Middle School, and also by the Wellington Music Store, located at 117 West Herrick here in downtown Wellington, Ohio. This morning, our helpers in the digital media class are Brian Elder, Caden Sharapita, and Megan Bartotto. This morning, we are very fortunate to have two young ladies from the volleyball team. We have McKenna Chappell and also Lindsey Gott. Welcome, young ladies. It's good to have you. We're going to be talking volleyball this morning, and the team this year is much different from last year. We lost several very, very important seniors, that being Alexis Lemcool, Aaron Frank, and also Liliana Pocock. Certainly big stalwarts on the varsity team last year. So my first question to you, Lindsey, is we lost those seniors, and even though it's not really considered a rebuilding year, because in high school, like college, people graduate, new people come in, so it's not really a rebuilding year per se, but we have a very young team this year. And in fact, 3 of the starters are sophomores. So what's it like? It's not really a rebuilding year, but we have a very young team this year. Talk about that.
I think it was a good opportunity for us to become a stronger team, because if you start out younger, you can improve if you're playing at varsity level at a younger age. I think our biggest problem was learning how to play together, and that's something we've obviously been working on all season, and we've gotten really good at learning to play together and what to do to help each other out.
And yet you played on JV, so there was JV involved, but now you're competing with people that are a lot not only older but have more experience. So there's a big difference there, isn't there?
Yeah, but I think we adjusted to it well, and like I said, we help each other out. So it's quicker paced, but it's not.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, McKenna, we did lose 2 tall young ladies, and with the exception of Jalen Gibbs, now we have a much, for lack of a better term, shorter team. What are the challenges for playing with just one tall young lady versus along with the much smaller young ladies?
Well, it's definitely hard because we don't have as many tall people that can slam the ball down like Jalen, but I think that it's important that we still have the small people. Even though our team is small, we know how to work together. We can pass the ball up and set it to someone. We can get it over, and as long as we keep the ball on the other team's side, we let them make the mistakes. So having a small team isn't necessarily the worst issue.
And of course, you girls are shorter, so you can get to the floor quicker. Well, I want to talk a little bit about substituting. And I've been doing volleyball now for 3 or 4 years, something like that. Other than the libero, I don't understand what substituting is all about. So let's talk about the libero. And Lindsey, you play libero along with Rachel Bremke. What is the substitution rules, or what are the substitution rules for libero, and how they're different than substituting other girls?
So for the libero, she strictly can play back row. She's not allowed to go into the front row. There's 3 subs for the libero. So there's obviously the libero herself, and then 2 front row players. Mm-hmm. So when you rotate through the positions, you have one of the front row girls come out and the libero go in, and then another front row girl to replace the previous front row girl instead of the libero.
Now, but there's no reporting to the referee in this particular case. You're just in and out, in and out.
It's because the libero has to constantly be on the court unless the other 2 are serving. And we have a libero tracker, which is a girl that sits at the ref stand and keeps track of the libero substitutions just to make sure they're not illegal. So it's not like a free-for-all. It's still a process that has to be watched, but it's not as precise as the regular substitution.
Well, see, I learned something already, because I didn't know what that. I just saw people coming in and out, and you never reported to the referee, so I didn't understand that. Well, now, McKenna, now we have a situation of the other substitutes, and it always seems to me like each girl knows when they're going to substitute, jumps right off the bench. With the exception of a few other substitutions, you have to report to the referee. So explain that substitution rule.
Well, it's important that we know our substitutions, because that's one thing we work on a lot in practice, you have to know your rotation, because if you, like say a back row player is supposed to go in for a front row player and they don't, like they miss their substitution, the front row player has to play back row, which isn't what they specialize in. So it's just important that we know our rotation so that people can play their position that they play. So you go up to the line, substitute in, the ref will tell you you're good, and you just go in.
But you always know what that rotation is. So and that's another thing I don't understand. A girl jumps off the bench, stands right there, and the other girl knows that the other girl's coming in or coming out. It's confusing to me. But again, maybe when you get to my age, you'll understand that. But the rules of substituting are just sometimes beyond me, and it's amazing to me how what a well-oiled machine that particular thing is. Well, the last thing we want to talk about before we get into the team itself this year, we're playing in a new conference this year, that being the Lorain County 8. And it's different from the PAC. The PAC was a much larger conference. Now we only have 8 teams. What is the challenge, or what's the big difference? Since you all played in the PAC last year, JV, what's the challenge of playing in a smaller conference?
I think the rivalry got stronger.
Oh, okay.
Because we only play each other a certain amount of times, like less, and like you get like less games in, so you have to like be sharp in every game, and like the tournaments will be harder because they're smaller, but I think it's better competition, so like it'll make us stronger. I think there's no real difference, just as long as we keep playing our game and come out on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, with the PAC, with the Stripes division and the Stars division, in our division we always played each other twice. But now in the Lorain County 8, we play everybody twice. So there's no real surprises or anything like that. We don't get somebody from the other division coming in that you really may not know anything about. Well, McKenna, we were talking about, in fact, Lindsey brought up the fact that we have rivals and things like that. We all know we have a rival with that team out east. But what do you, now that we're in that new conference, who do you really feel like our main rivals are?
I'd say Keystone, Black River, and Brookside.
Okay, certainly, and certainly 3 of the main teams there in the conference. So yeah, we certainly want to beat them every time if we possibly can. Well, when we come back after this commercial message, we'll talk more about the team this year and what's going on with Lindsey and McKenna. This is Dialogue with the Dukes. We are back. We hope for all of your music needs, you decide to go to the Wellington Music Store, located at 117 West Herrick here in downtown Wellington. Of course, as we all know, we do have a major movie coming to Wellington, and so for a short period of time you are not going to be able to get music items at the Wellington Music Store because it's going to be turned into a gun store during the movie when Liam Nielsen comes into town. So there may be a small period in there where you're not going to be getting music items, but there's going to be guns in there. So we want to talk with McKenna Chappell and Lindsey Gott a little bit about the team this year specifically. And so for you, Lindsey, what's the challenge of starting on the varsity squad? You're both sophomores, but you're both starting. You're starting on a varsity team. What's the challenge being a sophomore and starting on the varsity team?
I think being young is obviously a challenge because I'm not experienced. It's my first year playing varsity, so like I don't really know the ins and outs of the game too well yet. And the other challenge is probably if I like mess up or do something, it's like more embarrassing because I know that I'm supposed to be at a higher level. But it also like reminds me that like I got to where I am through hard work, and like it's not just I'm there because of like a coincidence or something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, but one thing I noticed though, anytime like somebody hits the ball out of bounds or somebody serves out of bounds, there's always so much support that I see with the girls, and I say, hey, don't worry about it, no big deal. Just like when Jay comes up and smashes one good, kills something, and the same kind of thing where everybody comes together. I think that's really important. Well, McKenna, we talked about the fact that we have a very young team. We lost those 3 seniors, and now we only have 3 seniors this year. That being Rachel Bremke, who usually plays libero. We also have Jalen Gibbs and also Caitlin Caudill. So we only have 3 seniors this year. So the importance, McKenna, of playing such a young team.
I think it's important that we have a young team because we can start building our team now. So once the sophomores are all seniors, we'll have a well team because we've been playing together for so long now that we should have a strong together team.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as Caden Sharapita will tell you, even though he's brand new to the school this year, we have a very young football team. And so we started a lot of freshmen last year who are now sophomores, and they are in many cases the backbone of the football team. So it's going to be the same for the volleyball team. We have such a young team that we have, you know, in your case, another 2 years of playing on varsity. So I think that's great. Well, McKenna, we had a big win last night. We beat New London 3-0. Has got to build a lot of confidence. What was the importance of winning a non-conference game or match, I guess you'd say, last night, going into tonight's match where we're playing that team out east? What's it do for us?
It definitely has boosted our confidence. We've won 2 games in a row now. So I think going into tonight for Keystone, we know what we need to do, and we need to stay focused on beating Keystone for sure. It's definitely helped us get some confidence to beat Keystone.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were talking a little bit in the first segment about some of the places that the girls play and what the names of the different things are. So even though Rachel Bremke does most of the libero work, to my immediate left, Lindsey Gott does the rest of the libero work. So that's a really odd name. Lindsey, what is a libero?
So a libero is a person that strictly plays back row. They cannot go into the front row, and they cannot jump in front of the 10-foot line, which is the line that's 10 feet off of the net. They can serve, and they have 2 other subs to go in the front row for them. They don't have to officially substitute out and talk to the ref about it, but they can just run in and they play back row only. They're in for, I'd say, a good like 95% of the game. The only time they're not in is when one of their front row subs is serving and the other one is in front row.
Okay, now I just learned another term that I didn't know what it was, the 10-foot line. Now, is there something on the court that you know where that 10-foot line? Oh,
yeah,
there is.
It's marked, yes.
It is marked?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to look for that tonight because I never knew what that was. So I'm learning all kinds of things today. Well, we know what a libero is. Now, what position besides libero do you usually play?
I'm a defensive specialist, or DS, so that means I'm strictly back row as well. I just play like half as much as the libero does because I only have 1 sub that goes in for my front row.
Now, do you ever play in the front row?
No.
You never play in the front row. You're always in the back row.
Yes.
Okay? Versus McKenna. Now, this is something that I learned just watching this year. I see McKenna setting up for whether it be Carly or Jay or whatever else. I see you setting all the time. Is that the name of your position?
Yeah, I'm the setter, and this year I'm running a 5-1, so that means I'm the only setter on the court. So whether I'm in front row or back row, it doesn't matter where I'm at, I'm setting.
Okay, now you put up another term. What does 5-1 mean?
So there's 5 players on the court with 1 setter. So last year we ran a 6-2 with Alexis and Jalen. So Alexis was the setter when she was in back row, and then once Jalen got to the back row, she would be the setter.
Oh, okay.
But this year we're just running 5-1, so no matter where I'm at, front row or back row, I'm setting.
Did you do that on JV? Were you
Yeah.
setter there? So that's how you learned all that?
Yeah, I'm just set at 5-1 on JV too.
Okay, well, again, I'm learning something new. It's, I'm sure for the people who have never gone to a volleyball game, you need to come to one of these days because it's confusing to me, and I've been doing the public addressing announcing for quite a while, and yet I still obviously don't understand what's going on. Well, finally, before we talk about the benefits that's coming up soon, I'll ask both of you. I often hear either coach or one of the assistant coaches yelling, talk to each other or communicate, or one of the people in the stands yells, talk to us, girl, or talk to you. What is communication, and why is it so important, Lindsey?
It's important because without communication we wouldn't know like who's going to go for a ball. So like if I was serve receiving and there's 2 other girls in the back row, and like it went between 2 of us and neither one of us called mine, then it would just drop, and obviously the other team would get a point.
Sure.
So without communication, we can't put up like sets to put up plays, and obviously without plays we can't get points. So communication is the foundation of a good team. Like it's what makes you a good team.
Now for you, McKenna, communication's got to be the number 1 thing because you're the setter. How do you communicate to the people that are going to kill?
Well, I think that my communicating is very important because I have to communicate if I need help, if I can't get to a ball, or I have to call out the plays. So as I'm setting, I tell them what they're going to hit, like what type of set they're going to get. So communication is just so important for volleyball to be a successful volleyball team.
Okay, how do you tell them?
Okay, so Jalen, sometimes she'll run a middle hit, which is a 2, or she'll go behind me and run a slide from behind me. So as I'm getting the pass, I judge it whether it's a good pass or like not such a good pass. So if it's a good pass, I'll say run it Jay,
Okay.
and she'll go behind me and we hit the 9. But if it's not a good pass, I'll say no, just a 2, and then she'll just hit from the middle.
I've got to listen for that because of course there's so much noise going on anyway, but I've really got to look for that tonight because that's, for you as the setter, that to me, that I think that's one of the most important positions offensively. I mean, not to say that all 6 players are very important, but offensively, the setter has got to be very important. Well, finally, we know that Morgan Lemkool is one of the varsity players, and of course, it's no secret that she's been having some medical problems. And I want everyone to circle on their calendar Tuesday, October 1st, and that's when we're going to have something that's known as Volley for the Cure. And it's going to be a game where we not only are going to be playing Columbia, I believe, we're going to be playing the Columbia Raiders, and but we're going to be having a special night where we're going to have a 50-50 raffle, and we're going to have childhood cancer awareness bracelets, and all of the proceeds for from the game are going to go to Morgan Lemkool and her family. It's got to be very important. It chokes me up, I have to say, especially when I introduce her when she's on the court. It chokes me up knowing what the trials and tribulations that she's going through. It's got to be something special. I'll go to you, McKenna, first. It's got to be special playing with Morgan and so on, and having her as a teammate.
Yeah, I love seeing Morgan out on the floor. I know we're pretty close friends, and over the summer she was really bummed that she wasn't going to get to play volleyball at all this year. So when she got cleared to play a couple games with us at the beginning of the season, it was just crazy to see how happy she was and excited to be able to play and just work past her health issues and be able to play. And she's a tall young lady. She's taking after her sister Alexis, and maybe she'll grow even more and more. The importance of having her on the court that McKenna already brought up.
I'd say that she shows us all courage. She's definitely a very strong girl, and she always picks us up. She doesn't make excuses for herself. She always works hard, and she's a great model for not only us as volleyball players, but everyone.
And I think that's a very good point that both of you made. And as I said, it's very important. And seeing her out there on the court, as I say, it chokes me up, especially when I get to announce her. And it just makes me feel good that she's a good, as you said, a role model, a challenge to her. I think it's great. So once again, it's called Volley for the Cure, and it's on Tuesday, October 1st, where we're playing Columbia Raiders. And we really hope that all of you come out and see the game, and we hope that this appears before October 1st. And if it doesn't, we hope that everybody did come out to the match and support Morgan and her family. We'll be back again next week with another episode of Dialogue with the Dukes. This is Dialogue with the Dukes.